Hey YouTube, what's up, man? Brooklyn Bionic here with my first video as I venture into my house. Yeah, this video is gonna be a little different from the a couple of automotive videos I put out there. This video basically today is about thermostats, the wiring and powering the thermostat basically. Now, disclaimer, of course, as always, I ain't no HVAC dude. I'm not an electrician, nothing. I'm just a dude with a house who likes to tinker sometimes. I don't really know the in-depth about any of this stuff. All right. What's today? Today's Sunday, February 25th, 2018. I got this boiler installed last year. My boiler gave out on me in January, one of the worst months. I mean, thank God for global warming. It wasn't that cold. But the boiler I had gave out on me. It was a massive boiler. I forgot the name of it, but the boiler pretty much came with the house. It was an old boiler. It's time for it to go anyway. And I got this one. This is a Will McLean. This is a gas-fired boiler. CGA. This is 8. CGA 8. Gas-fired boiler, and I use it to heat up the water in baseboard heating. That's what I have in my house. I have 4 zones, 4 thermostats, baseboard heating. I don't use this boiler to heat up the water in my pipes. I have a separate thing for that. I have a hot water tank. This is 75 gallon. So pretty much this is on all year round. And this is only on in the winter months. I pretty much turn this off depending on weather, like April, May, sometimes March. I just turn it off. I don't use the boiler for that. For hot water. Anyway, when I first got this boiler, between my old boiler and the first time I got this boiler, my thermostat's only operated by 2 wires. That was the white wire, the W wire, and not the white wire, the W wire, and the RH wire. Now, all of these thermostats I used to have were basic thermostats, digital, no Wi-Fi, no nothing. So they all were battery operated. So it was pretty much a two wire system. That's all I needed. It was nothing special because I didn't have any the thermostats were battery operated. We didn't have to do anything special. Now, this is how this switching relay is how the thermostats talk to the boiler. This is how it interacts with the boiler. This is a Taco SR504. Let me take this thing off. Let me see if I can take it off. There we go. All right. As you can see here, not that complicated. It was a 2-wire system. This thing had a input for 4 zones, which you can see right here. Forget about this. This is the end. The first one is the end switch, but the last 4, just the red and white wire for 4 zones right there. It was nothing spectacular. Very easy setup. 2 wires from each thermostat coming down to this. Okay, that was when I first got this boiler. Now, a month after buying this boiler, which was like maybe February of last year, I decided on getting some of those Wi-Fi thermostats. So I got 4 Wi-Fi thermostats. One of them, by the way, they were all used, except for one. I got 4 of them. I got 3 of them off of eBay for less than $80. And one of them I got from Amazon. I had the Echo B3, which I got from Amazon. I got those with the 2 room sensors on it. One of them is the Nest 2nd generation, used off of eBay. Another one was a Honeywell. I forgot the model number, but I'll show that one to you. And the last one was this thing. This is a Sensi thermostat. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it's pretty cool. A nice display on it and stuff. Simple. But the 4 thermostats what I bought were all Wi-Fi enabled. They all have like vibrant color displays. So they couldn't be operated by batteries. I had to put the C wire in. Those things run off the constant power. So I had to come down here myself. I didn't want to call anybody to do that. And lucky enough, all of my thermostats had they had wires in the wall where it was like 4-wire and 5-wire configuration. So I was real lucky for that. I didn't have to run any different wires for that. I had all, it was running only over 2 wires, but it was just wires sitting there not being used. So all I did is come down and put one C wire on each thermostat. So now I had a 3-wire configuration on each thermostat, being the W, the RH, and the C wire. Now, that was like a month after I had after this boiler was installed. I came and did that myself. So all I had to do was leave this alone. You see the 4-wire set up here. I just left that alone, and I added a C wire to each boiler. As you can see there, I have one of those Wago switches, Wago push-in switches. So those 4 wires there coming from each boiler, each thermostat, and had a C wire on it. This is the C wire for each thermostat, 4 of them. And of course, this last one here, I ran around and ran it to this thermostat here. And I had it in the C port of this motherboard. So that's how I had it working for a few months, maybe like 3 months. It was working perfectly. Now, time came around, like I said, I have a hot water tank for my for the pipe, for the water in the pipes of my system. I don't need the boiler to operate in the summer. So I didn't think about it. When I came down and turned off the boiler last April, the fucking thermostats went out. No more power to the thermostats. I didn't think about that before it happened. So I'm like, I have all these pretty thermostats on the wall, and they're all off. Like, that was a no-no. So I had to figure out another way to do it, because, everything is wired to this relay. And the relay is hardwired to the boiler. When I turn off the boiler, all power cuts to the C wire and the thermostats. So I had to find another way to do it. Now, as you can see, this switching relay came with a transformer in it. This is a regular transformer. It's 120 primary, 24 volt secondary. And check it out. This thing is only 15 VA, 15 volt amps. It's very small. Look at this. This is a quarter. Let me try to give you a little perspective ratio of the size here. That's close quarters. Look at this quarter. This is a tiny, tiny transformer. Here's a chapstick. That's the only thing I can have that I could think of that. This thing is tiny. This transformer. But you know what? It worked. It worked perfectly for a couple months. I didn't have any problems. This transformer powered 4 Wi-Fi thermostats with no problem. The only problem I had is I had to turn it off in the summer. And when I turned it off, the power to the thermostats cut off. Now, I've been searching on YouTube for videos on how to wire 4 thermostats to one transformer, and there's no videos on that. So I assumed it couldn't be done. So what I did is do some homework, and I looked on some forums, and they said it can be done. I didn't see any on YouTube, but I checked some written forums, and it said it can be done, but we just had to make sure that the VA rating for this, the transformer, was enough to power 4 Wi-Fi thermostats. So what I did was, let me come over here. Put some light on the situation here. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Okay. I went out and bought this bad boy. This is a 120 primary, 24 volt secondary, and 75 volt amps on this. That's the model number. I don't know if you can see that there. The Functional Devices TR75VA001. This thing has 75 volt amps on it. So I'm figuring that's way more than enough stuff. Way more than enough power to power 4 Wi-Fi thermostats with no problem. Now, I gotta tell you, when I first opened this thing, I literally ran from it. Like, this thing was a mess. Like, I was like, what the hell? I'm not messing with that. Watched a couple of YouTube videos, got some bowls, came down here, opened it up, and it's not so scary anymore. Basically, this is the wires coming from 4 thermostats, and it stops here. It cuts, and then there's a it's 4 bundles coming down here from 4 thermostats. Then you have another 4 bundles going to the boiler. So this is just a junction box for 8 bundles of wire. All I did was study it. I went upstairs to each thermostat, and you know, it wasn't that bad. As you can see here, you see these Waco push-in things. By the way, these things are great. Wait, is it Wago? Wago or Waco? I don't know. I'll put it in the description. I think it's Wago. W-A-G-O. Now this is a 5-port push-in, wire push-in thing. So, like I said, I have this. This has 4. The thermostat is, forget about this. Is right. And I'll label everything. The thermostat itself, I mean, the transformer itself has 4 wires coming out of it. 2 for the primary, which is wired to the house, as you can see here, and 2 for the secondary voltage. I ran them through up in here and through here. All right, so basically now I have a 4-wire thermostat: the W, the RH, the RC, and the C wire. Now each thermostat, the C wire, I have going into one of the ports on the secondary of the transformer. And the other thing coming off the transformer, remember there's 2 wires. There's 2 coming off the secondary. Each of these represents a wire off the secondary. One is the C wire coming from each thermostat, and one is the RC wire coming off of each thermostat. So I now have my all my thermostats powered separately from the that switch, that switching relay on the boiler. They're all powered from this thing now, and this thing is humongous. Let me do my test. This is a small transformer that I use for the doorbells. Let me do my chopstick test. Look how big this thing is. Tiny. This is just as big as the one on the switching relay, but this one has a bunch of output, like 16 volt, 8 volt, and a 24 volt. Now look at the size of this thing. It's a 75 volt amps. Look at the size. This thing is almost as wide as the junction box. It's humongous. It's almost as wide as the junction box itself. And I have no problem so far. Now, being that I have no problem, smart enough to know just because I don't have any problems doesn't mean there's not going to be any problems. But I didn't see anybody doing this anywhere on the internet. I got 4 thermostats, C terminals wired into this, and I have 4 thermostats, the RC terminals wired into this. So this thing's powering 4 thermostats right now on its own, connected to the house electricity, of course. So I even made a little diagram here. Forgive me for my drawing. All my thermostats are now a 4-wire configuration. The W wire, RH, those 2 go to the boiler, and the RC and the C come to this transformer here. And that's the wiring configuration I have right now. Forgive me for this drawing, it sucks. I was too lazy to put 4 thermostats up there, but basically you can get it. This is times 4. The RC and the C is times 4. 1 from each thermostat. And I got them tied into the secondary wires coming off of the transformer here. So first I had a 2-wire configuration with my old boiler. Got the new boiler. Then I ended up with a 3-wire configuration, which is the W, the RH, and the C. But that didn't work out because I like to turn my boiler off in the summertime. And that basically cut power to the boiler. I mean, cut power to the thermostat. So I just had blank thermostats on my wall. And I just figured out how to do this last year. So it's been months now. This thing is running perfect. It's a little bit warm. Yeah, I mean, you can barely tell it's warm. I actually have to stay still and stop breathing to tell that it's warm. And it never gets warmer than the warm it is right now. You can barely tell it's warm. So it's working flawlessly. But I still have a little bit concerned. Maybe I don't know what the hell I'm doing. It's working fine. I don't know what I'm doing. I want somebody to tell me this is wrong. By the way, when I was wiring these things, this here goes to the basement thermostat, which I'm gonna show you in a few. So that was the only one that actually had only 3 wires, so it was a no-go. I had to actually run another wire this wire here through the wall. But look, as you can see, it's only about 5 feet. The thermostat in the basement is on the other side of this. I'll show you that one later. That's the Honeywell, I believe. And a word on these wires, these things are so garbage. These are like the new thermostat wires. Comes with this like brown tubing on it. This is the 5-wire thingy. I think one is cut off of this one. But these things are so brittle. Like as soon as you bend them back and forth, they break. You actually have to be real careful with these things. These things are total garbage. Now this one, what I actually took out my wall, I had this there this must have been there for 50, 60 years. Perfect. I mean, they're bendable. You can move them around. You can do whatever you want to them, and they don't damage as easy as the new thermostat wire, which I find very weird. Guess they don't make shit like they used to. Anyway, that's the configuration I have now. W, RH, RC, and C on each thermostat. Now I have different thermostats, but they all run the same ports on them. W, RH, RC, and C. Let's go take a look. Look at the one on the other side of this wall here. All right, this is the Honeywell thermostat. I forgot the model number of it. I put this is like a trophy display thing. I put it on there. Look a little nice and neat. People come in, they say they like it. I was like, hey, really? Anyway, you see, thermostats are nice and beautiful. In the summertime, I had to shut down the boiler, and these things were sitting on the wall blank. So I let that happen for about a month until I came and figured out, let me run a different power source for it. Now these new thermostats with the Wi-Fi ability, they don't just show the temperature in the room anymore. They got humidity. They got outdoor temperature and humidity. Some of them even got 5-day forecasts on it. I don't know if this one does. This one have a couple hours of forecast, but my other ones, some of them have 5-day forecasts, and those things are pretty cool to have on there. So you know, this is why I had to find another source for the power. Let me pull this one off. I don't want to break it. All right. So there you have it. Let me put some light on the situation. 4-wire configuration. RC, C, W, and RH. That's all I need. It's powered externally. I can turn off the boiler. I can do whatever I want. And the thermostats are still on, still giving me information. And that's that. By the way, this is the RTH 9580WF Honeywell thermostat. I got this for about 60-something bucks used. Who needs new? Let me put this on. Perfect. Right now the boiler's off, by the way, because it's totally noisy. I'll show you. Thermostat is on. Here's to go back in the boiler room. Boiler's actually off because it's pretty noisy and I wanted to film the video, so I figured I'll leave it off. All right. So to sum up the video, this is how I have my thermostats wired now. It's not wired from the boiler. It's not powered from that switching relay on the boiler anymore. It's powered individually from this thing. And this thing is going strong so far. But I'm a little concerned. I'm a little curious. So in the end, I want to ask you HVAC dudes and the electricians, am I doing something wrong here? This thing is 75 volt amps and it's powering my thing beautifully. Even the 15 volt amp one on the boiler powered it differently, but I'm not sure if the switcher, the transformer on the boiler was getting additional power because it was wired into the motherboard of that switching relay. Maybe that's why it worked too, but that worked perfectly too. But this is a 75 VA powering all 4 thermostats. Am I doing something wrong? Next question is, if I came here, if I called your company, your HVAC company, and told you my situation, I told you that I need my transformers, I need my thermostats to be powered from a different source because I like to turn my boiler off in the summertime. What would you do? Like, would you come here and give me 4 different thermostats, 4 different transformers to wire each thermostat? I mean, what would be my options? What would you tell me? Like, what would be the best thing to do? other than this? Or is this perfect? And another question is, how much would you charge for that? Like the same situation, how much would I be charged for you to power my thermostats via something else than the switching relay on a boiler? This thing is tiny, but it did its job. It's working. It was working fine. Like I said, I don't know if because this thing, it was wired into the motherboard of this switching relay, maybe it was getting additional power from somewhere else and it was okay. I wouldn't dare try to use a separate transformer like this with a 15 volt rating, VA rating on it to do what I'm doing now. I think that's just way too small to power 4 Wi-Fi thermostats. So guys, let me know in the comments. I'll take some criticism if I'm doing something wrong. I don't know if my house is gonna blow up, but it's been going strong for months. Since maybe May. I didn't have the boiler on, but it was always powering the 4 thermostats, and I turned the boiler on in maybe October, November of last year. And it's still going strong. It's perfect. I don't hear any noise from it. I don't hear anything. And it's a slight warm, which I'm assuming is okay because it's powered to the 120 volt electricity for the house. All right. Let me know, guys, in the comments. Criticism is welcome. Brooklyn Bionic. Out.